I used to think my biggest problem was staying competitive in the auto business until I found a hotel receipt in my wife's coat pocket. But even that shock paled in comparison to what came next, learning she was meeting my own brother at that hotel, conspiring to take everything I'd spent 20 years building. My name is Derek. I'm 47. My wife Jennifer is 44. We'd been together 18 years and married for 15. I own 4 auto repair shops across Texas, all built from the ground up, starting with the garage my dad left me in Austin. Jennifer worked as a bookkeeper downtown. We raised 2 kids. Emma is studying nursing at it, and Tyler is finishing up at Texas A&M. It all started on a Thursday evening in April. I was in my home office reviewing invoices when I heard Jennifer come through the front door. Nothing about it seemed unusual at first. She often worked late. But something about her felt different that night. Her hair looked deliberately tousled, like someone had been running their hands through it. I said hey there without looking up. Asked how her day was. She didn't answer right away. When I glanced up, she was by the hallway mirror reapplying lipstick. Her hands were shaking a little. Jennifer never wore lipstick to work. She told me to give her 5 minutes, said she needed to freshen up. Something about the way she said it made me stop what I was doing. I asked if she was all right. She cut me off, said she was fine, just a long day. I watched her head upstairs, and that's when I spotted the folded paper near her feet. A hotel receipt, Riverside Inn, room 142, dated that same day. The Riverside Inn isn't a business hotel. It's the kind of place you go for a romantic escape. I had actually proposed to her there nearly 20 years ago. Upstairs I could hear drawers opening, water running. Normal sounds, but they felt wrong, like she was rinsing something off. I folded the receipt and slipped it into my shirt pocket. Part of me wanted to storm up there. The other part said wait, watch, get proof. 20 minutes later she came back down wearing jeans and a sweater. Her hair was damp from a shower. I asked if she was feeling better. She said much, claimed she might be getting sick. Still wouldn't look me in the eye. That night, lying beside her in bed, I stared at the ceiling and realized something between us had changed. The next morning she left earlier than usual, said she had an early client meeting. The goodbye kiss she gave me felt fake, rehearsed. After she left, I did something I'd never done. I went through her things. In the back of her sock drawer, behind some scarves, I found a cheap prepaid phone. The text history made my stomach turn. 4 months of messages with someone named Tea Coffee tomorrow at the usual spot. He's working late again. Miss you already. The most recent one was from yesterday. Same place tonight. I can't wait much longer. I set the phone down and splashed cold water on my face. In the mirror, I looked older than I'd ever felt. I powered the phone back on and kept reading. I found a message from 3 weeks ago. Lawyer says we need 6 months of documented separation before filing. Just a little longer. This wasn't just an affair. She was planning to divorce me, and she wasn't planning to leave empty-handed. That night she told me she was going to her book club. I had already called her friend Susan. There was no meeting scheduled. She left at 7:30. I waited 5 minutes before following her. She drove to the Riverside Inn. I parked down the block and watched. 10 minutes later, a red Silverado pulled in. My brother Tony stepped out, same truck I'd designed for him last year. Tony, who was my best man, who came to every family barbecue, who called Jennifer his favorite sister-in-law, who had borrowed money from me more than once. He walked into the same hotel room where my wife was waiting. I sat there in my truck, engine off, heart racing. 18 years of marriage, 47 years of brotherhood, all gone in a moment. I called him. He answered casually, asked what's up. I asked where he was. He said home, watching the game. I asked again. He paused, then said he could explain. I told him not to insult me, just tell me how long. 4 months, he said. 4 months. While we had family dinners, while we shared birthdays and holidays. I told him, this is about the garage Dad left me, isn't it? You always said it should have been split. He told me it wasn't like that. Then what is it like? I asked. He hung up. I didn't go home. I drove to my original shop in Austin and spent the night in the back office. I pulled out old photo albums, looked at pictures of us all smiling, and wondered when everything fell apart. Around sunrise, I called Emma. She asked if everything was okay. I said I just needed her to answer something. Has your mom seemed different lately? Asked anything strange? Emma paused. Then told me Mom had asked if she thought Uncle Tony was lonely. If he was a good man. My stomach turned. Jennifer had been planting seeds, testing the waters, seeing if Tony could take my place. After I hung up, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront them, not yet. I was going to treat this like a business problem. I opened my laptop and searched for the best divorce attorney in San Antonio, Patricia Wells. Her office was sleek, glass and steel. She was in her 50s, calm, sharp, confident. She looked over everything I brought and said this wasn't just adultery. This was planned asset theft. She showed me transfers to a company called Future Ventures, said it was a shell. She said we needed to freeze everything. Joint accounts, business assets, the garage. I asked what she meant by planned. She said Jennifer and my brother weren't just having an affair. They were setting things up to take what I owned. Found a hotel receipt in my wife's coat pocket. But even that shock paled in comparison to what came next, learning she was meeting my own brother at that hotel. Within hours, Wells filed emergency motions. She hired a forensic accountant to trace every dollar Jennifer had touched. But I wasn't finished. I found Tony at AutoZone helping a customer. When he saw me, he froze. He asked to talk outside. I said no. We're doing this here. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. 18 years with Jennifer. 47 with you. Was any of it real? He said they never meant for it to happen. I told him don't give me that movie dialogue. This was a plan. You wanted my garage, my business, my life. He said the garage should have been split when Dad died. So you seduced my wife, I asked. That's your answer. He said she came to him. Said I was always working. I told him I worked to build a life. Every missed dinner, every late night was for our family. And you turned her against me to steal it. He said please. I said you made your choice. Now live with it. That evening I met with Wells again. She looked serious. The accountant found more, she said. Jennifer had been moving money longer than we thought. Some of it had gone toward paying off Tony's debts. Over 12 grand, she was bankrolling him. Buying his loyalty. Wells opened another folder. Jennifer had also consulted real estate attorneys. She was planning to force a sale of the garage. She planned to claim common law marriage with Tony. I asked if that was even legal. Wells said in Texas, yes. If they lived together and claimed to be married, she could argue shared ownership and push a partition sale. She was going to claim they were married after divorcing me, use that to take my dad's garage. I asked if it could work. Wells said not anymore. She already filed to declare the garage separate property. She told me Jennifer was more dangerous than we thought. 3 days after confronting Tony, I got a call from Detective Martinez. Tony had filed a police report, said I threatened him at work. I met with Martinez at the station. I explained everything. Showed him documents, transfers, texts. He said what Jennifer and Tony were doing looked like organized fraud. He asked if I wanted to press charges. I said not yet, but if they kept pushing, I would. I drove home. Jennifer was packing suitcases. I asked where she was going. She said she and Tony needed time. I asked, time to steal more money. She told me it didn't have to be ugly. That we could reach a fair settlement. I laughed. Asked if fair meant seducing my brother and trying to take my inheritance. Or if fair meant using fake marriage claims to steal my garage. She turned pale. How did you know? She asked. I told her I knew everything. The shell company, the transfers, the legal strategy. Patricia Wells is thorough. Jennifer looked stunned. She said we could still fix this. I looked at her for a long time. Told her I gave her 18 years, my heart, my home, my trust. And she sold it for a shot at my legacy. You're not coming back from that. 5 minutes later, she walked out the door. The next morning, Wells called, said we needed to meet. The accountant traced Jennifer's activity back further. 14 months, right after my father's funeral. Over 68 grand. All timed to align with major purchases, expansion loans, inventory shifts. She was skimming profits while I was growing the business. It didn't stop there. Tony had been feeding her insider info. Vendor lists, price shifts, sales data, from his job at AutoZone. Wells said they weren't just cheating or stealing. They were trying to ruin me from the inside out. I visited every shop that day, talked to my staff. Louise said Tony had been stooping, asked about suppliers. Said he was starting his own thing. I told him thank you. That night, I stood in the Austin garage alone and realized they weren't just trying to steal my money. They were trying to erase me, but they made a mistake. They underestimated how far I'd go to protect what was mine. Friday morning we went to court. Wells laid out everything. Emails, transfers, witnesses. The judge froze every account. Declared the garage mine alone, issued a restraining order. And then Martinez called. They got them. Jennifer and Tony were caught trying to cross into Mexico with 75 grand in cash. The FBI was involved now. In the end, Jennifer took a plea, 2 years probation, full restitution. Tony got 15 months in federal prison. Neither has reached out since. I told my staff the truth. Louise said they always suspected something, said she was watching us, not visiting. I told Emma and Tyler everything. Emma cried. Tyler wanted to drive down and handle it himself. I told him it was already over. Months later, the business was stronger than ever. We were leaner, profitable, focused. One morning Emma brought me coffee out back. Asked if I was okay. I said some days were better than others. She asked if I missed her. I said I missed the life I thought we had. Not the lie it really was. She told me she met someone, Marcus, a teacher, kind, honest. I said I'd like to meet him. 3 months later, a woman named Maria walked into my Austin shop. Early 40s, sharp, drove an old Honda, said her ex thought she was too stupid to understand cars. Turns out he was wrong. We talked for an hour. When she left, her car was fixed and she had my business card. 2 weeks later, she called to thank me, and to ask if I knew any good places to eat. Now she lives in Austin, has her own apartment, her own life. We take it slow. No lies. No secrets. Jennifer and Tony took a lot, but they didn't take everything. Not my name, not my integrity, not my ability to love again. Some stories end in revenge. Some end in regret. Mine ends in resilience.